Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can use Timeshift to backup and restore a Linux installation. Now, if you're not familiar with Timeshift, it provides similar functionality to the System Restore feature in Windows and Time Machine in macOS, and it works by taking incremental snapshots of your file system at regular intervals, which then can be used to restore later in order to undo any changes to a particular system. Now, I will point out that Timeshift will only back up your system configuration and not your personal files. If you're going to do something like that, I strongly recommend you use some form of cloud storage service, portable storage, or if you want, you can even host your own Nextcloud instance. Now, Timeshift can be installed using your distributions package manager, and some support distributions include Ubuntu and its flavours, Zorin OS, Elementary OS, Pop OS, Fedora, Debian, Manjaro, OpenSUSE and Arch. So chances are it can be installed on your system. In fact, if you're using either Linux Mint or Garuda Linux, then Timeshift is already installed. But if you want further information on whether your distribution is supported, then make sure that you check out the supported system configuration section on the project's GitHub page. So the first time you run Timeshift, you'll be greeted with a wizard, and this gives you the option of either using RSYNC or BTRFS or the snapshot type. Now, unless you're actually using BTRFS as your file system, then you're going to be choosing the RSYNC option. Now, to my knowledge, the only distributions that I know of, at least the mainstream ones, that use BTRFS as default is Fedora, Garuda Linux and OpenSUSE. Either way, no matter what option you choose, what you need to do is you need to run through, specify the snapshot location, which by default will be in your root directory, set a time for when the snapshot will be created, and how many snapshots you ultimately want to have at any point. So if you go with all the default options, you'll find that it will be set up to use it once a day, up to a maximum of 5 saved snapshots. They're all located in the root directory, but if you do ever want to change this, you can just go to the settings tab at the top and run through the wizard again. Now, where to create a snapshot, click the create button, funny enough. Now, the first time you create a snapshot, it will take a little bit longer, but all following up snapshots will take a lot less time. So to demonstrate how the restore feature works, select a snapshot and then click the restore button. You can leave all these settings as default, click next, and then it will go through the process of restoring your system. Now, don't be alarmed when you see this screen, this is perfectly normal for what happens, and once this process is finished, the system will automatically reboot itself. Now, you might be thinking, what happens if my system is so messed up that I cannot boot back into the distribution? Well, you can still restore using a TTY1 prompt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purposely break this installation by removing the display manager. Okay, that's ought to do it. Let's reboot the system. So this time we're greeted by the TTY1 prompt. So the first thing to do is just sign into your account as normal. And then we need to activate Timeshift, which we can do with the following command, which is sudo timeshift space -- restore. Type password in. And from here, it's pretty self-explanatory. We need to select the snapshot, so we're going to go with 0. Reinstall the boot grub loader. Yeah, why not? We've broken it anyway, so why to that? And then to the actual installation, which in case is going to be 1 for me. And this is it'll be a similar sort of layout to what we looked at before. And this time we don't have a grey background, we have a black background. Once again, the process will probably take a short while, but once it is completed, you'll find your system will reboot and then allow you to sign in back to the way things were before we foolishly removed and broke our system. Okay, so just like that, you've now successfully restored your system. Now, Timeshift is a great utility for when you're tinkering around with your system, but you also want a reliable method of restoring it when things could potentially go wrong. Now, it's especially more useful if you're using a rolling release distribution such as Arch or Manjaro, as they frequently update, and as a result of that, will sometimes introduce bugs or some form of breakage on your system. So either way, having a snapshot to roll back to is a great insurance policy. So with that, it brings this video to an end. As always, thank you very much for watching, and if you did find this video helpful, then please do consider leaving a like, and subscribe to this channel for more content like this in the future. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye now.